Hey guys, what's up, and welcome again to Games and Gear. Now for this week's episode. Well, for starters, I did not want to make this a topic. I wanted to be perfectly clear on that. But many circumstances in the past has prompted me to do so. This all sums up into one word: shippings. In many media, including video games, shippings have been a very common thing, but one shipping in particular has always been irritating to me. Whenever I hear about shippings, it makes me think about Sonic the Hedgehog and Amy Rose. As you can probably tell where I'm going with this week's episode is going to be a rant video on Sonamy. I will give an honest opinion about this couple, and if I do offend anyone in the process, then I sincerely apologize for it. So without further ado, here we go. I first heard the term Sonamy back when I was in high school. Many people thought it was because of the fact that they're both hedgehogs and being the same species makes it a good couple. But wait a minute though, doesn't that classify discrimination? I mean, come on, these two are fictional characters for crying out loud. Why does it matter if they associate themselves with different species? And another thing people talk about is how obsessed Amy is with Sonic. I don't know if constantly stalking Sonic or forcing him to marry qualifies as true love. I mean, love takes time to mature before growing to a serious commitment. And most of the time when I browse online, I can't go 1 second without coming across Sonamy related content such as fan art, fanfics, or even slideshow videos that you see on YouTube. Of course, I have seen videos on why Sonamy would be possible and videos on why it wouldn't be possible. I mean, it's like a big mental tug of war over here. I mean, they weren't kidding when they said Sonamy is possibly one of the most toxic Sonic couples in existence. Of course, I mean no disrespect to the people who create content like that, but that's just how I feel, so I apologize if I offended anyone here. Of course, my real gripe with Sonamy would come years later. When I first started Twitter, I think it was around 2015 or so, the Sonic community has its own Sonamy-related conflict as well. There were a few Sonic fans I came across who were dedicated to making Sonamy happen. However, one in particular has really made a name for himself, but not in a good way. But I won't go into this really far, for this is going to be a summary of what happened, so please just bear with me here. As you can see, it was around 2017, a fellow YouTuber by the name of Dumbsvillechannel, who, by the way, receives a huge shout out for making epic rant video, made an hour-long rant video on a Sonamy fan by the name of True Love Heart 94. This fan would harass Sega and anyone else who works for it by constantly shoving Sonamy down their throat. He would also block people who didn't agree with his opinions. I mean, how low can you possibly get? Blocking people, in my opinion, doesn't really solve anything, unless it involves someone who tries to harass you up to the point where you feel really uncomfortable, and blocking that person would be a last resort. But I'm getting off topic here. Anyway, the people this guy would constantly tweet to are mostly the voice actors for Sonic Boom, which was on the air on Boomerang at the time. So after the video was released, True Love Heart is all like, "Oh, don't listen to this guy, he's trying to make me a bad person." However, truth be told, at the time I wasn't fully aware of the situation. About a month later, around November, when Sonic Boom Season 2 ended, things really took a crazy turn. This basically started when there was a video of Roger Craig Smith and Cindy Robinson saying there was going to be a Sonamy moment in Sonic Boom Season 2's season finale, which would air in November. However, when that episode aired and when this Sonamy moment ended up being a no-show, well, the guy got really upset, almost as if he felt lied to. I mean, at first I thought it was understandable. I mean, I would be sad too. However, I came across a tweet from Roger Craig Smith, something about a comment being inappropriate and that he would block and report that person. So I went to see what the commotion was all about, and I get this. There was a tweet that said, "Your buddy Bill just signed his death warrant." And I was like, gee, being upset at a TV show is one thing, but sending a death threat to someone on Twitter? That crosses the line a lot. And the Bill I'm referring to is Sonic Boom writer Bill Freeberger, who was also the voice of Comedy Chimp and Walrus Lady in the show. I've seen a lot of toxic stuff in the Sonic community, but this one really takes the cake. However, a few hours later, he deleted those tweets and he apologized for the whole incident. And while I'm not one to think less of other people, needless to say, I am a bit worried that something like this would occur again. But thank goodness it hasn't. However, there has been petitions flowing around for Amy Rose in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think minuscule things like petitions is probably one of the reasons Sonamy is never taken serious in a way it really makes Sonamy fans look very desperate. Aside from this, there was one other major reason. Another major gripe I had with Sonamy was the fact that people were bashing another Sonic character for it. Specifically, I'm referring to Princess Sally Acorn, who was in the Archie Sonic comics and the Sonic SatAM cartoon. From what I've heard about this, one of the main reasons people hate Sally was because people thought she was basically mean and was one of those characters who wore no clothes. Of course, that was before the whole Genesis Wave fiasco. Another reason I could think of is because people thought she wanted Sonic to herself, which sounds really ridiculous. But perhaps the main reason for the hate came from a certain scene from Sonic issue 134, aka the slap scene. But don't let that title fool you. It's no laughing matter. Anyway, this scene came from a Sonic artist by the name of John Gray, and from what I've heard, he put that slap scene in there and it really made Sally Acorn out of character. Dumbsville has made a video covering this guy, so be sure to check that out. He explains a lot better. Honestly speaking, I like Sally Acorn, mostly because she has this great military leadership and she always thinks on her feet. If Archie hadn't canceled, I would have loved to see more story arcs featuring Sally. Okay, before I wrap this up, I just want to say that if you like Sonamy, then that doesn't make you a bad person. It's okay if you support Sonamy. I mean, people have different opinions and life experiences about this kind of stuff. Sure, there may be some people who may feel stubborn towards this topic, but you shouldn't let that bother you. If you like the couple, then that's okay with me, just as long as you don't overdo it. I mean, the last thing we need is more toxicity for the Sonic fanbase. And the last thing any fanbase would want is to send death threats to the cast and crew of Sonic the Hedgehog, or any other fanbase for that matter. People just need to remember that companies like Sega, Nintendo, or even Sony do things their own way. They hardly accept any unsolicited fan ideas, mostly for legal reasons, or anything along those lines. Plus, shippings in reality isn't really that much of a big deal at all. It's how people handle them that makes it such a disaster. Of course, I mean no offense to those who are into that kind of stuff. And not all shippings are bad. In fact, there are a few of them I like. But that is a story for another time. Just remember that I will always respect your opinions. So that wraps us down to the end. So now it's time for game wordplay. And this week's game wordplay is ship-pow, a term used when you try to use a character shipping in an argument or anything else along those lines, such as a debate. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To be honest, it wasn't easy for me to get this out in the open, but I hope I didn't offend anyone who happened to be Sonamy fans. Well, this is Clyde Monster saying, see you next time on Games and Gear.
Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me to Moist Mire, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug jug with you. We can be pro Fortnite gamers. Take me to your Xbox to play Fortnite today. You can take me to Moist Mire, but not Loot Lake. I really love to chug jug with you. We can be pro Fortnite gamers.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Games and Gear. If so, then click the like button. And to see more, click that subscribe button. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And I will continue to get my video game on.